Hi everyone, it's Tammy with Shabby Fabrics. I have an amazing project for you today. These are the Magic Stained Glass Placemats. These look really complicated, but I have a really fun tool by Creative Grids. We have some fun bias tape by Clover, which is fusible, makes these so quick and easy. I'm going to sew with a twin needle and show you how easy that really is. So let's dive right into our project. I'll set this right here. So let's talk about the templates that we use to cut these blocks with. These are the Scrap Crazy 8 tools by Karen Montgomery. They're templates. They are by Creative Grids, so they do have the non-slip grip on the back of them. I love that. That is really nice. It tells you on here, this is template C and you're cutting these two pieces. This is template D, you're cutting this piece. And this is template AB and we're cutting this one and this one. So it's nice that the templates are labeled for which piece you're making, and it gives you a good picture of the block so you know what block you're making, so you understand the way it goes together. All right, so let's look at how we do this. I'm going to use 10-inch squares. So I've already cut some ahead of time, but I'm going to take these, I'm going to take 4 at a time. I'm not really comfortable cutting more than 4 layers of fabric. They need to be fairly accurate, and I don't like cutting more than 4. Sometimes my blade will skip, or it just really takes a lot of pressure to get through more than 4 layers. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to take my wool pressing mat, I've got my Panasonic iron, and I'm just going to start pressing these fabrics together. All right. Here we go. Pressing fabrics together like this, it makes them hold together better. I don't know why. They all just kind of get mashed together when you're pressing them out. I don't know. I'm going to give it a little bit of steam. And just, there we go. Let's do one more. All right, I like the way that looks. They're all stacked nice and neat. Let's move this. I'm going to use the Creative Grids rotating mat today. I already know I'm going to have a, there we go. So this mat spins very easily. This is my favorite spinning mat of all times. I love this mat. It's very secure when I put pressure on it. This mat is not going to slide back and forth. Yet when I touch it to spin it, it spins instantly, very quickly. All right, so let's look at how we're going to lay out our templates. So I'm going to put my A template like this. I'm going to put my C template upside down and my D template right here. So now I need to utilize all of my fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 2.5 by 20 by 12.5. I'm going to slide it up to this edge. Everybody fits. I'm going to slide these templates away and I'm going to cut my squares. Just like that. Now I'm going to take this piece and just slide all 4 pieces away from their friends. All right, so let's work with this little piece first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take C, and I know that this is a clean cut right here on this edge. So I'm going to line this template up with this straight edge right here on this template. The fabric edge is straight. This is all even. You can see I have a little extra here, here, and then across the bottom. So let's rotate our mat and start cutting. Like this. And again here. We get that off of there. Across the bottom. Now you see this little corner right here? I'm going to go ahead and take that little corner off like my template says to. So I cut that corner. That's going to make these pieces fit together like a puzzle. It's amazing. All right, let's set those aside. All right, now I know, looking at this, I need a piece B out of this. Let's use this template now. This template, the entire thing is an A template, but if I want a B template, I need to cut right here. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to set this on here, and I know my top line and this side line over here are clean cuts, right? We're going to cut this on this side, cut that point off, rotate this, and now we're going to cut this edge off. So I'm just going to cut a little tiny bit off of this to clean up that edge. I don't want to cut too much. There we go. Okay, so that's a better way to do that. So instead of cutting this side first, I should have just cut this side first so that I can line this edge up, because I can't cut this, it's underneath the template. So I need to line this up with the edge of my fabric. Now I can cut this point off and cut this edge. Now I have a perfect piece for template B. All right, let's set him aside. All right, let's put these all back together. So I had AB across the top. I have C upside down, and I have D next to C, just like that. So I'm going to move this over. And I know that, again, this is my clean edge because I've already cut there. So I'm going to line this template C up with this clean edge. All right. Let's turn this mat. And I'm going to cut straight across. I'm going to move this out of the way. So I have lined these two templates up exactly even. If you don't line them up even, when you cut across, you're going to clip your blade. I don't like clipping my blade. I do it a lot, but I don't like it because then I have to change my blade. So I made sure to line up my templates perfectly before I cut across this. Let's cut this little tip off. Spin it around. We're going to cut the bottom off. And I went really slow right there because I wasn't sure if that template was still lined up, but it was. So I went ahead and cut across it. All right, I'm going to move my D out of the way, and I'm going to cut right here. This cuts my other C's, just like that. Okay, let's line our template up again with this and cut D pieces. There we go. Now I have D. All right, the last one we have to cut is the AB. All right, so these have kind of come apart a little. Let's kind of readjust my little squares here. Okay. Since those came apart, I'm actually going to cut around the whole thing because I can do that. You see I have room on all four sides to do that. I'm actually going to cut around all four sides of this. Let's move it to the middle of the cutting mat. That's better. I feel better about that. Okay. We're going to cut out the end, rotate, cut this side, cut your corner, cut this side, and now cut the very last edge. Perfect. Look at that. Perfect. All right, let me clear my space. Let's take our cutting mat away here. Let's get all this garbage away. There we go. All right, let's look at our pieces. All right, so now I have cut 4 pieces like this. You have C, you of course cut twice, so I have 8 of these. 4 here, 4 here. These are B. All right, so then I cut some ahead of time. So I have some more A's. I'm just kind of stacking these by which shape they are. These are C's, like this. These are B's. These are D's. And this is an A. All right, let's make a block. How about that? Okay, so to make a block, I can refer back to my template. This is what my black looks like. All right, so I need an A across the top. So it was really fun when I made these placemats. I just tried to get fabrics, different fabrics in all of them. Let's start with a pretty green across the top. Okay, I need a C upside down right here. Let's pick a red one. Like this. I need a D right here. Let's do one of these, just like that. All right, I need another C right here. Let's do a different red here. And I need a B across the bottom, just like that. The collection I'm using today is Stof. Stof Christmas. We love Stof Christmas here. We have used Stof Christmas in a lot of projects. This one I could not resist. With the gold metallic in this, the gold metallic clover bias tape, so beautiful. I just love this. All right, so I have my block. Now let's start sewing our block together. So this is actually very intuitive. So first of all, I'm going to put these two together. And you can see how by cutting this corner off, you see how that exactly matches right here? These pieces fit right together like a puzzle. Creative Grids is amazing like that when they make their rulers. I love that. So I'm going to pin this together, stitch that, but I'm also going to take these two pieces at the same time and sew these together. We'll pin this. I'm just going to keep my pin out of my seam allowance so that I can sew a 1/4 inch straight across here and not have to remove a pin. Okay, so I will see you at sewing machine. All right, now we get to do the fun part. Now we're going to add some sparkle to it. So let me get my pieces out of the way. I don't need these. All right, let's use our pressing mat. So let's press the seam open. Open is going to be the best way to press a seam like this because I'm going to put that bias tape on it, right? And you want that seam, that the bulk of that seam just kind of dispersed throughout the whole thing. And so pressing this open is really going to be beneficial to you right here. There we go. All right, now while this is still hot, I'm going to take my clover metallic bias tape. Look how beautiful this is. So shiny and beautiful. I couldn't wait to play with this. So I'm just going to measure this across, cut my piece to size. I'm going to peel the paper off the back, lay this on here, right on top of that seam. That's right where I want that. And we're just going to press this again. Just like that. Wow, look how pretty that is. That just really dresses up your block, doesn't it? I love that. Okay, let's do this again with the other piece. So every time I do a seam, I add this bias tape to it. Okay, so while it's still hot, you're going to measure your tape out, clip it, and peel your paper. And fuse it down. How easy is that? There it is. Just like that. This just takes placemats from ordinary to elegant. I love this bias tape. It is so beautiful. Okay, so let's put this back. Block goes together like this. This piece goes on here. So I'm just now going to take that bias tape, I'm just going to trim that little piece that's hanging over, just even up. So when I put my next seam on here, like this. Now when I pin that, I pinned in here and out here because I wanted to avoid pinning through my bias tape. Right. But I need to hold that seam there because I don't want that to move. I want it to stay straight. So I'm going to sew this, and when I come back, we'll go ahead and get more bias tape on there. Okay, so again, we're going to press this seam open. And put a little steam on that to help that coax it open like I want it to be. There we go. So you see how I just sewed that bias tape straight into the seam there. So if you wanted to, you could be sewing your bias tape to your block after you apply it every single time before you put your next seam on. However, I decided I wanted to use the Schmetz metallic needle. It's a twin needle, and I'm going to actually stitch both sides of this bias tape at the same time, and I'm also going to quilt it at the same time. I'm all about efficiency, and to me that made more sense. I love using that twin needle, but if I were to use a twin needle to now go stitch this down, I'd have to take the regular needle off my machine, thread through the twin needle, sew the bias tape, take the twin needle off, put a regular needle back on. It was just, I couldn't see my way through that. I thought that was too much work. So instead, I opted to just stitch all of this bias tape down at the very end. All right, let me trim this one even. All right, I'm going to put my last two sections together, here to here. Okay. All right, when I come back, we're going to open this up. We're going to put our final bias tape on, and we're going to quilt it. All right, so we're going to press this last seam open as well. This one I'm going to have to coax it a couple of times here. Here in the beginning. There we go. This little Panasonic iron is a cordless one. I like how this tip opens that seam up as I go across it. It makes pressing open seams easier. There we go, just like that. Okay, we'll put our final piece of bias tape on. And I did want to point out, you can see the roll that I'm using has been used quite a bit. This is the roll I used to make all of these placemats. The block here, I did play with this stuff a little bit on some fabric when I was trying to figure out my stitch length and all that kind of thing, tension. When you're sewing with metallic thread, I definitely recommend doing that. And then I made a whole nother one. So you can see you have plenty of bias tape in here to play with. So don't feel like you have to conserve this and you're not going to have enough, because you definitely have enough bias tape. So here's our block. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. So you would go through, you're going to make 8 of these. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the quilting part. I love this part. So what I did is I got my blocks together. I made blocks. I actually put them together in the center and added one more piece of bias tape. Why not, right? It's beautiful. I added my borders, pressed everything out. I put this together with fusible fleece, and I fused the fleece to the placemat. All right, so it's not fused to the background. Okay, so I'm just going to set this out of the way. And we're going to use the Cool Pins by Gypsy Quilters. What I need to do is now I just need to stabilize this project a little bit. I want to keep that backing from shifting around on me. And I'm going to quilt along these lines, along all those lines. So I'm just going to take these Cool Pins and I'm going to put them through here. Just hang on to this project. But I know I'm not going to be quilting in the blocks. You could quilt in the blocks if you wanted to. Do as much quilting or as little quilting as you wanted to. I thought something quick and easy for the holiday table. I wanted to keep it simple. And I thought just the quilting on the bias tape was more than enough for this project. There we go. We'll add another pin up here. Okay, I am set. I'm ready to go. I'm going to set my machine up. I have 2 spools of silky metallic. So this is a thread director. This is the dual thread director. I need 2 of them. You guys, I know if you've watched our videos, you have seen us use this single thread director, and it just has one spot for 1 spool of thread. On this one, I need 2 because we are using a dual needle. We're using a twin needle. This is the Schmetz metallic twin needle. And this needle it's made from metallic thread, which is really nice because that's what I'm using. So I'm going to put my threads over the top of this, just like this, and you can see how nicely they pull off. This thread isn't twisting or turning at all. This thread director is just absolutely amazing. So I'm going to get my machine set up and I will see you back here and we're going to quilt and have fun. Okay, I have my machine set up. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what settings I changed on my machine. On the BERNINA, my normal stitch length is 2.5. Because I'm quilting, I always increase my stitch length. Right now my stitch length is set at 2.75. The other thing I changed was my tension. And I think your tension is the most important thing that you need to adjust when you're dealing with metallic thread and a twin needle. You might need to play a little bit with your machine. On this BERNINA, I reduced my tension from 5.25 all the way down to 2.0. That's a huge jump. I had it set a little bit higher when I was making the sample, and I kept having problems with one of my threads kept losing the metallic on it. And pretty soon I was just left with that white core in the center of the thread. But it was only on one side. It wasn't on both sides. It's driving me crazy. But now what could be wrong? Tension. I reduced my tension one more time and it worked perfect. And I had no more problems. So tension is probably your biggest issue if you're having problems with breakage, with this thread becoming unraveled, any of that. The other function that this machine has is it has a thread cutter on it. I do not use the thread cutter when I'm using a twin needle. I know that the needles are down there and it's going to cut the thread, but I'm also using metallic thread on a thread director. I do not use my thread cutter when I have spools looped around, multiple threads. I got a lot going on, and just running a thread cutter into the middle of this is going to make these spools spin crazy. I didn't want to do that. So I do not use my thread cutter when I'm using a thread director with twin spools. All right? Okay, here we go. Let me show you how this works. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to sew across this one. I'm going to pick up my needle, I'm going to jump, and I'm going to sew across this one. All right, let's do that. All right, so I'm going to center my foot. I know that this little, it's like a divot, I guess, in my foot. This little mark is the center of my foot. So I'm just centering this on the bias tape just so I know. Let me do that one more time. There we go, that's better. All right, both my threads are here. I have 2 separate threads, all right, and they're pulled under my foot and to the back. I'm centered on here. Here we go. I'm going to take a couple of stitches and then I'm going to do a back tack. Look how cool that is. I love the way this stitches both sides of this bias tape at the same time. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick my needle up. I'm going to raise my pressure foot a little bit, and I'm just going to slide my project across to here. And now I'm going to sew again. All right. There we go. Let's do a little back tack, and I'm just going to sew to the end. There we go. Look how clever that is. I just love the way that stitches. Perfect stitches. Let's turn it over and look at the back. So on the back, this is sewing a zigzag stitch across the back in your bobbin. So I just used a tan thread to match my backing. Whatever thread you pick would be fine. I would not use a metallic. Then you're just really going to set yourself up, right? Metallic on the top, metallic on the bobbin. I wouldn't do that. I just picked a regular 50 weight thread on the back. All right, that's how we did our project. So to quilt this project around the edges, I thought it might need a little bit more. So what I did was I decided to quilt all the way around like this. And I just kept the center of my foot right along my border, and I just stitched just like this all the way around this placemat. All right, so I'm going to show you how I did this corner. I'm going to come up to the corner. I'm right on that corner. I'm going to actually come past the corner like that. I'm going to raise my needles, carefully turn my project. You see that? And now I'm going to start sewing again right there. Okay, so my needles come down perfectly. Right there, and I'm still have my border in the center. Move these threads out of the way. There we go. All right, there we go. So you can see how quick and easy it is to do double stitching like that. It is so much fun. I really encourage you to give it a try. The twin needle makes it effortless. It just, so much fun. I can complete these placemats easily in a day. So it's not too late to make them for the holiday and get them on your table for this Christmas. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you sticking with me to the end. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Please tag us. I'd love to see what your projects look like. We love seeing pictures from our customers and engaging with you. We'd love to hear what you think about it. We'll see you next time on another Shabby tutorial.